We are recording, and if you've just tuned in and you're wondering, well, why is Stuart on the phone? Well, that's because, I always try to start up the engines early in anticipation of some kind of a technical failure. And normally, I don't have a technical failure. However, today we did. None of the microphones, none are working. So there we go. I dialed in, and I'm as cool as a cube. Now, the last session we had, I don't know if it was the last one or two sessions before, we had Mike Marshev on. You guys know Mike, and he was our surprise guest for the whole hour. And it recorded the audio, but it didn't record the video. So I need to get to the bottom of this and see if it's my hardware, my computer, or if it's GoToWebinar. And guess what? If it's GoToWebinar, I'm telling you right now, friends, I'm done with this platform. We're moving on. It's like go to a doctor, say, doctor, it hurts when I do this. Doctor says, well, don't do this. We make a change. All right, welcome everybody. It is our last Ask Stuart Hour of the year. And I'm going to put our next one in the book shortly, probably the first week of January. Just let me know, is the first week of January okay, or is everybody still on vacation? So I'm looking at probably January 3rd, Thursday. Does that sound good? January 3rd, Thursday, please let me know. We'll get that on the books. Let me just go back here and welcome everybody in. And I want to also invite you, certainly, if you have any issues, questions, comments, suggestions, successes, and failures that you want to share today, let's do it. If you have plans for 2019, if you've got fun stuff coming up, share it. If you've got unfun stuff coming up, share it. And maybe we'll empathize with you about it. Jackie's here in the house. Jackie, I don't know if you have anything new to share. If you want me to talk about, in sort of a nutshell, the big conversation you and I had about your group. Let's see. Nancy says, happy birthday from Maine. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate that very much. Yes, I just came off of a very intense birthday weekend. Kyle's in the house. Hello, Kyle. Dan says, sounded good. Jackie says, January 3 is good. Jennifer, hi, Jennifer. You're going to be traveling. Well, that's okay. Traveling is more important than listening to me, because you could take me on the road with you another time. Tune in later. Cool. Good for you. Hope you're going someplace fun. Danny is on vacation till the 6th. Then he's escorting a group on your cruise. That's your photography workshop cruise. Isn't that right? Very cool. Let's see. Jackie said, nothing new, but you're certainly free to share anything we talked about. Cool. Scott says, Jan 3 is good. And okay, so, it's one of those things, no matter what date I pick, you guys and gals know this, is the same with a group too. We're going to have a certain amount of people who can go and a certain amount of people who cannot go. We just do the best we can. So it's either going to be that first week or the week after. I got to go back and look, and I will let everybody know for sure. Okay, so here's the deal. Jackie, I definitely want to bring up what we talked about before about your Downton Abbey cruise. And Hans, I want to mention, so let me put this question out to you right before I asked this question that Danny had posted in Facebook, also sent it to me direct as well. So the question is, do any of you have experience with auctions? Have any of you ever obtained a cruise or booked a package or whatever, and then I don't know if you donated it to an organization, a charitable group, so they could auction it off, or they paid you for it. Did you make money on it, or did you net it down so you didn't make anything, and did you auction it off? Because Hans was looking at doing something like this, and I shared my observations and experiences with Hans before I share with everybody else. I just want to see if you guys and gals have had experience with that. I can only tell you that I remember there was a time years ago when the cruise industry was growing rapidly, and you had all kinds of manifestations and iterations of cruise agencies, especially online. I mean, some were doing some really nasty stuff like marking up $1, and they would just make it up on volume. But I remember this: you couldn't pick up the phone and call and talk to anybody. It was 100% online. And I'm not saying it was marked up $1, maybe $50, and the cruise line said, no, that's no good, and said you can't sell my product like that. And I think also the same came through with auctions, that Some agencies were able to get significantly lower prices on select cruises, and they would auction it off. And I think the cruise line shut that down. But Hans, this is not what we're talking about here. It's for a charitable organization. So I just want to know if anybody's had any experience with that. So let me dive right in right now. And then, by the way, I will at some point tell you my thoughts on Group Sales Success Summit number 2. And I'll just give you an update on the potential conference here in Memphis for groups, 100% groups. So Danny said he's up. And he's got that first group going in January 19. I wish you good success on that. And Danny is going to Escort, which is great, right? You know, Danny's relatively new to boot camp, but everybody in boot camp knows that I am the biggest proponent of you going with the group to make sure nothing goes wrong and everything goes, because their expectation is everything is going to go perfect. So you're there to make sure nothing goes wrong. So it is perfect, and even better than perfect, because you can even do some surprises while you're there. So I wish you success. I know we all do. But working on with another photographer for a workshop on a cruise. So this clearly, Danny is pursuing a passion of his, something that he feels could be opportunistic to do groups around, and working with these photographers. And I mean, there's no better affinity concept than photography. It just lends itself so well. So, and he says, my biggest concern, now listen everybody, is going into an establishment like a photographer or a liquor store owner or winery and looking to speak with the owner and being able to speak comfortably and intelligently on getting them to like my idea. This is Danny talking. I want to be able to overcome their objections if they have any, like what's in it for me, because he knows, of course, they can ask what's in it for me. Now, I have been asked this question many times. Well, Stuart, if I do get in the door, what do I say? How do I present? I have this big idea. And we've talked about this at length, and I know so many of you have had experiences where you get in the door, you get that meeting, you score it, you're excited, and then when you get in the door, and you have that meeting, sometimes it doesn't work at all. Sometimes it does work, and you convince them. Listen to me carefully now. You convince them to do a group, and then I'm telling you from an observational perspective, 9 out of 10 times it fails, and you don't understand why, because you sold them on this idea, convinced them to do it. They're like, okay, we'll do it, and then it fails, and it almost always comes down to, of course, the failure of the group leader, because they haven't done what they're supposed to. They didn't have a big enough list. They didn't market it right. They didn't do it with enthusiasm and energy. They just lost their oomph, or they never had direction to begin with. And it could be because there was no group sales agreement letter, right? You guys hear me talk about that all the time. But let's come back for a second, friends. And Danny, you know, this is for you, but for everybody. You know, if friends, if you're working hard to convince them to do the group, and you feel like you're selling them on your big idea, then it will always be your big idea, and they're going to feel like they're helping you, right? And that's why they should say to you, well, Danny and everybody else, what's in it for me? Why would I do this? Well, why do you want to do it? That's what I would say. Why would you want to do it? So, first of all, I would never walk in saying, hey, here's my big idea. What do you think? Let's do a group cruise. Because more than likely, people have presented this concept in the past. They're like, nah, blah, blah, blah. My sister-in-law is a travel agent, blah, 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 with this. I think what you really need to do when you first walk in the door is just make friends and understand their business and understand what their challenges are. If it's loyalty, if it's that they would love to get away, and maybe they'll bring it up organically themselves, and you don't even have to give them your idea. But what you have to do is get to understand their business and what their problem, right? Group travel solves a problem, and there's no such thing as a group trip that hasn't or isn't solving a problem. And in the case of a photographer, it could be, you walk in there and you say, so do you ever take hikes? Do you ever go places? to take pictures yourself? Sure, I do. Have you ever gone with any and your classes? You teach classes here, right? I do. Well, have you ever taken them, beyond our general vicinity? Maybe they have. Maybe they have not. That's interesting. Well, I have an idea. Can I share an idea with you? Sure. What if you took them someplace exotic? I mean, where do you love? Do you love personally cities, photographing in cities, or do you love nature, birds and water, and trees and flowers? Find out. Let them bring it out. Play detective, and then maybe you say, how cool would it be if we went to 4 different Caribbean islands, and you did on-site teaching, and then what's so cool about digital photography these days, right, is that you go right back to that chip, and everybody could share their photos instantly. It's not like you drop them off at the Photomat store. Who remembers Photomat? And you have to wait. So my coaching to you, Danny, and everybody else's, I know you guys and gals have big ideas, but if you walk in selling your big idea, it won't be theirs. They need to feel like they own it. This is great. I want to do this. And say, that's a great idea to them. And say, look, this is my specialty. It's exactly what I do. I bring people with expertise and with passion who have followers, and I connect them to their followers so that you can be with them, you can teach them, you can influence them. You can influence them. Wouldn't you like to influence all of your friends and family and followers and students of photography, influence them to be better photographers? Why don't let's get a trip together? Now, I know what you're saying, Danny. You're saying, okay. So I sort of, I led little breadcrumbs along the way so that he or she thought of this great idea. And look, along the way, they may say, nah, I don't like getting on ships. Nah, I don't like going to Mexico. Nah, I don't like, going places. I do local stuff. Well, you move on. It's not going to work, right? You move on. You make a new friend. And maybe they can refer you to somebody who might want to do that, but you got to know when to, as they say, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Okay. Now where was I heading with this? So the what's in it for me part. Okay. If they come right out and you want them to say, okay, well, how does it work for me as the owner of the shop, as the teacher? And rather than answer with an answer, because you don't know what they want, what they need, what their hot buttons are. You answer with a question. Well, what do you want? What's important to you? And if they say to you, well, it would be nice to get a discount on my trip. Okay, well, perhaps we can work together and we can probably make that happen based on how many people we get. What if I, the more people we get, your friends and followers and students to go, the less you pay. Does something like that sound good? Yeah. Now, I know that Danny had posted this and somebody in Facebook wrote right away, no, you don't give the free trip, you don't give the free trip. And it's true. Ever, never, never. You guys and gals know this. You ever walk in dangling the free travel because that's all they're going to focus on, it's all going to care about. But that's what I would do. I would make it as if we're discovering this along the way. Because if it looks contrived, if it looks like a sale they're being sold to, they're going to give you some pushback. You're having a conversation. Well, okay, so you want to save money on traveling with you. I get that. And what if they say they get a fee? Danny, you told me your guy gets a fee for teaching, and he told you what the fee is, and he collected his fee, right? Okay, so you say, so you want to get a fee? Okay, we can bake that into the package. That's doable. What else do you need? That's all. I'm good. I'd like to be able to bring my spouse. Well, sure, we can work that out. But what if I want to bring family, like my kids? They're older, they're adults. Can they come? Well, perhaps we can work out a special rate arrangement for them. Let them, friends, let them tell you what their hot buttons are, what they want. Because if you end up offering something and it's not really what they want, but you've already offered it, so you have to give it to them, then there's still something else you got to layer on top. And before you know it, you're giving away half the store. Yeah, so definitely, this is a mindset, friends, and I'm going to end here in a second and see your comments and questions. It's a mindset thing to walk in and not get overly excited to spill the beans. You certainly never want to spill the beans in an email. I know many of you, I'm looking at you, have put your big idea in an email, and that's a total no-no because it gives them the chance to say no immediately. You want to get in the door and have a conversation. Hey, let them feel like it's been their idea and you're the expert, you can make it happen. And let them share with you what it is that gets them excited. We all have different things. What if they turned around and said, we want to earn X amount of dollars per head, or we would just love to get a massage every day. We've never done that, and that's you never know. And what if, Danny? Final note: what if the person you're going to pitch or make friends with first is really wealthy, and they don't need a free trip. They just want the super deluxe suite or whatever. Let's just say that's what they want. Well, maybe we can work out where we'll book you, in this level, and then based on sales, I will be happy to upgrade you, but it's going to be based on, sales. Is that okay? Okay, sure. I like that. That's a challenge. Look, friends, anybody who doesn't want an incentive, final point, I promise. Any group leader who doesn't want an incentive, who doesn't want a challenge, who just wants the gimme, upfront guaranteed, you got to think twice, because you need them to make it work. You need them to be the sales superstar, to be the brand ambassador, to make it happen. Because the photography students, they don't know you, Dan. They don't know anybody. It's got to be that group leader who is the leader, truly the leader. Come with me. We're going to have a great time, to be in you on the information presentations every week, to put, whether it's Twitter or whether it's Instagram, whether it's print, every day, every week, information, excitement, and, of course, group launch sequence. All right, let me see if there's any comments or questions about what we just talked about. Kyle said, when I was with the Cancer Society, we did a silent auction for a high-end cruise. I did not see any bid. Price high, I think. So thank you, Kyle. Kyle is sharing here, and this is in line with what Hans was considering, which was either giving or donating or selling, in this case, a cruise. And Kyle said that that he had done a silent auction for a high-end cruise, but did not see anybody bid, that the price was too high. So let's switch gears for just a second. One of my concerns that I expressed was that, if it's, whether it's a high-end cruise, and Hans, in your case, was Alaska cruise, why would somebody bid and overpay for just an ordinary cruise when they can say, you know what, here's a $200 donation. Here's a $100 donation. I don't want to overpay potentially for just an ordinary cruise. Now, if it was a very, 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 very special cruise, right, friends? If it was a one-time itinerary, if there was a celebrity, if there was something or something going on that, concert tickets, they're coming to town. Well, they're only coming to town on this date. So if you win the tickets, you get to go. Well, if that ship is doing that same itinerary in Alaska for the whole summer, I'll go the week before. I don't need to bid on this. So, when somebody, you guys know this, when somebody bids on something, it's because I need that piece of artwork. I need that because it was worn by Elvis Presley. It has to be something something that says I want for my collection, or I want to experience that I can't get anyplace else, or that this is very special. That's why I'm not sure it would work. I just don't have a good feeling about it. And Kyle just shared that that in his case it did not. Jackie's here. Jackie says the only experience I have with auctions is with a silent auction. I donated a gift basket containing various promotional items and a $100 gift certificate towards a vacation of 5 nights or longer. The winner never contacted me about planning a trip or using the certificate. I was recently contacted again by the organization to donate another item this year, but I don't know if I should. So this is interesting. Jackie actually did a silent auction and donated the gift basket and a $100 gift certificate. And there was a catch, right? You're only able to use that $100 gift certificate if they buy something. Some people would say, hey, that's great. It's a coupon. It's a discount. Cool. Other people will say, well, this has no value to me because I have to spend money to get the value of the gift certificate. So, it's like a mixed bag, right? Depends on who wins it. And so it's one of those things, Jackie, where it's like, do you do it again? And did that $100 gift certificate have a deadline or a timeline or an expiration date? Is that $100 gift certificate going to be good forever? So you may get a call in 10 years from now, hey, help me. Or does it expire? If that's the case, it's up to you. Is the value of what you're doing, the promotions, and maybe that person already has an agent and they're loyal. They didn't need the certificate. Maybe they just didn't have the funding to spend money on a vacation to use the certificate. And they want, but then again, hold on. If it was for a silent auction, that means they put their little raffle in the basket that they wanted to win it. So I stand corrected. But who knows? You never know. Right now, it hasn't cost you the $100, has it? Has it? So maybe you do it again. Danny says, so I walk into a photography store and make friends. The chances are I'm talking to an employee. Do I say what I do when I introduce myself? I guess I'm asking the best way to start the conversation. Okay, so there is, Danny, I know you're new to boot camp. Definitely please watch the Pitch Perfect series because I go through the early stages of how to get in the door, when to get in the door, and I would say, no, you don't walk in, talk to somebody who's on the floor, a retail clerk or something, not to say anything bad or denigrate that person, but I really, it's one thing to walk in and start talking, but you want to meet with the owner. You want to go to the top and start at the top. Now, if it's a business that you frequent and you're a customer, then that helps. But I give you, there are like 6 ways to get in the door, okay? And one is if you're a customer. The other is that you're another small business owner. I hate to use the word small, but whatever. Danny, just to say, walk in and say, hi, I own a business too, and I live down the block. Who owns your place? I just want to make friends. I'm just looking to meet other small business owners. And Danny, maybe they're part of a BNI group. Maybe they're part of a chamber of commerce. Maybe they're part of an organization, and you could find out, you end up seeing them there, But I think it starts like this, and this is that 15-minute meeting. If you're just going to walk in off the street and say, man, your store is great, I love it. Who's the owner? Oh, it's you. Nice to meet you. Hey, listen, did you ever have time where we can have coffee? I'm a business owner too. I would just love to talk. Your shop is really great. I own a business too, different business. I'm in the travel business, but I want to see how it works for you. With this in this new competitive, internet commerce. Is that impacting you? Is it good? Is it bad? And it's what I do. I go around making friends with other business owners. You never know when we can help each other. Right? It's an innocent ask. And if it's an employee, find out who the name is. See if you can get their contact information and do the same reach out. Make a phone call. Send an email. Hey, I'm Danny. I live down the block. You own your place. I own my place. I'm just looking to make friends. That's what I would do. I hope that helps. And I think once you do it a couple times, you'll see not everybody, but most people will be into it because all business owners, face challenges and opportunities. And when they know they're meeting with another business owner versus somebody who's trying to sell them something, they'll be more apt, more inclined, more open to take the meeting and to meet you, especially if you just ask for a 15-minute meeting. Why? Because after 15 minutes, they know if I don't like you, I can get up and leave. But if I like you, I'll stick around and we'll keep talking, right? Let's see. Kyle says here, maybe an 80s cruise with a famous artist. Oh, so you're saying to auction off something, it has to be something very special. I agree. That could certainly do it. You know, it could be a full ship charter thing, or just the cruise line has a guest artist on board. You're very right. It doesn't have to be full ship charter. It just could be, sometimes cruise lines or hotels, they bring in celebrities for a limited time. I agree. Hans says, thanks for the thoughts. Tend to agree. Cool. Danny said, great, very helpful. Good deal. All right. So we're almost at the halfway mark, friends. We've got a good group in today. So welcome, everybody. I know most of you just like kind of sitting back and watching and hearing other people's problems, other people's challenges and opportunities. But if there's something on your mind, go ahead and type it in. If you want me to turn on your microphone, we'll give it a shot. Usually it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But we'd love to hear your voice ask that question. That'd be super cool. Okay, now we're going to get to, Karen had a great question here from South Lake Travel. Two topics. And this is a very interesting question, and I want to address this to all of you, and then I'll give you my thoughts. And it's about planning your groups. And sort of the subhead is, hey, my cash flow is always softer in the fourth quarter of the year. Cash flow is softer in the fourth quarter because you perhaps you have lower, fewer departures, so you're not collecting commissions. Whether it's your fourth quarter or maybe there's a time of the year where your income is soft, what can you do to point business there? So, Karen, I really love your question. Is there a way to find potential groups that would travel in the third or fourth quarter so that you can build business when it's soft? Have you ever, this is Karen writing, have you ever intentionally put a calendar together and gone after possible prospects that might travel at certain times of the year? I think that's a question of a very astute entrepreneur. I will tell you, for me personally, I go through this every year as an independent business owner as well. In my world, the majority of my speaking gigs happen to come in the fall. I happen to have one in February, which is CCRA, right? I'm working on a potential one for the summer, for June, which would be very exciting. But then it all starts going crazy in September, October, November. Sometimes they overlap, where I have to go from city to city. But largely January, if I don't do something to inspire income, I have none. So I will do marketing to sell boot camps. You guys and gals know about my Group South Success Summit. I saw an opportunity to do something grand. I never realized how big it was going to be. And I wanted to see if I could make some additional money, open up a new revenue stream. So I started something brand new that, by the way, might as well transition there quickly. I'm thinking to do Group Set Success Summit in the spring, because if I do a big conference in late summer, we can't do the Group Set Success Summit again in August. And I think this is so big, so popular, and there's so many great speakers, some I can bring back and so many new ones I could bring in, it would work. What do you guys think? Sorry for changing course, changing direction mid-sentence, midstream, but let me know if we did. I'm not saying we do it every 6 months. We could, but if we have different topics, different subjects, different speakers, it might be something fun. Certainly you all in boot camp, you get it free because you're in boot camp. Other people will get it free for those 10 or 12 days, and then they have to pay if they want to own it. All right, coming back here, which is really the great question. Have you ever put a marketing plan together to generate business so you drive income during weaker, softer periods of the year? So while you guys and gals are typing your answers, I want to give you my thoughts here. Number one, which I've already said, it's a great idea and something very important for entrepreneurs to do, right? Because we don't want to be in running a business, an entrepreneur, where it's feast or famine. We just don't, because it gets real tough during the famine times, and then when it's feast times, sometimes we're too busy. We can't handle what we have. So how do we? I don't want to say spread it out, but you may need to bring in help when it's the feast times. But then you certainly don't need staff. You don't need help during the famine time. So what do you do? So let's look at the fourth quarter for a second. Let's be really scientific. What groups might travel during the fourth quarter? Well, what goes on in the fourth quarter? Oh, there's Thanksgiving. There's the holidays, Hanukkah, there's Christmas, whatever. College kids are coming back from school right around now, actually, right? Or probably they're home. There's family trips, family reunion trips. Some people do like to travel over Thanksgiving, right? Because the little kids are certainly off from school, younger kids. I think we need to be scientific in this approach. I love it. So perhaps generating ideas, having a think tank session with others, we can do this too together if you wish, on what groups tend to travel more in the fourth quarter or third quarter, right? Because when you back up into the third quarter, everyone's back in school. We're talking September, October. Everyone's in school. It's harder unless it's family with really, really young kids where it's okay to take them out of school. Maybe you focus on that. Or maybe, because it's shoulder season in the Caribbean, right? September, October, we focus on people who have more flexible travel plans, or they're looking for really good value because a lot of times the prices will drop. So you focus on groups that have flexibility, and it's adults that they can get off time from work. It has nothing to do with the kids. You go for older adults who don't have to worry about who's going to watch my kids when I'm away for a week. I believe you can get very scientific here. Now, if you need information and ideas, I think the first place you go, friends, are your sales reps, your BDMs with each and every supplier you work with. Get them on them. Get them in your office and ask. Holy cow. They would know. I would hope they would know. Ask them straight out. What kind of groups are traveling right now? They may give you an answer that I didn't suggest here. I would hope they did. And something might resonate. A light bulb may go off and go, wow, right. And that's where you focus to go generate. That's where you start meeting new people, making new friends, to see if you can, again, and discover, hey, there's a problem. And group travel can be the solution, and I'm your guy, I'm your gal to handle it. So I'm all for it. Let me check the board, see your comments, your questions, because I think it's a great, important entrepreneurial duty to be that kind of a thinker, a leader, a planner. Let's see, Kyle says, fall quarter, what doesn't get planned doesn't get done. Exactly. What doesn't get planned doesn't get done. So, now's the time. If you really do your research now, friends, maybe you can impact fall and winter of 19. Plan it now. Ruth says, hey, Ruth, thank you. I did the group launch sequence discussed in last session because group leader did not want to do it originally. We have generated 8 new bookings for the group so far. Glad I mentioned it. That's exciting. Congratulations, Ruth. Very cool. I want to read it again because it's definitely a vote of confidence to those of you who may not be true believers in group launch sequence. And when your group leader says, nah, we're not going to do that, we have to reveal pricing, maybe this gives you the confidence to say, Trust me on this. It's what you hired me to do, to make the group a success. And if we put the prices out and then do the marketing, we're not going to have near as much success as if we do the marketing first and then open it up for sale. So Ruth here is giving us a wonderful testimonial. I did the group loan sequence discussed because the group lead did not want to do it originally, and now we've generated 8 new bookings for the group so far. And Ruth, you know, and everybody, you can repeat the group loan sequence again. You could do it again. Because those 8 people who booked may know 8 more people who want to book because they want to travel together. So you're going to press them. Hey, is there anybody you want to go with? We're going to do the information series again. Okay, Hans says, River Cruise Lines do the Christmas markets, and their wine cruises are many times in the fall. There you go. That's right. I really think that's a very big opportunity, especially with the River Cruise Lines, because these cities, now, you know, Americans who haven't been to Europe, let alone been to Europe during the holiday season, they don't know how majestic, how glorious, how gorgeous it is. These cities take it very seriously, especially those small cities along the Rhine and the Danube. And, you know, I think it's a great idea, a really great idea. And I can tell you that, like with AMA, they do a lot of their wine-themed cruises as well during those time periods to add even more value. Kyle says, retirees travel, less expensive, less kids. Yeah, no doubt. The retirees who may be luxury, and I really am using the word luxury. So, you know, they may be more flexible to go any time of the year, but they also may be looking to go on shoulder seasons when they get better value. They pay lower prices, and it's the same trip. They don't care when they go. They just want to go. And, you know, maybe in that case, it's either just a group of friends, a small group. Remember, it's not about quantity. It's about the quality of the group. Or maybe it's that photography concept. They want to learn hobbyists, not students, if you will, but more hobbyists, to not only use their smartphone to take better pictures, but also to bring their cameras and go someplace fun. You know, it could be a lecture, historians, or somebody's written a book. Hey, come when you talk about your book. They don't have to be a big shot, but if they wrote a book and it's a good book, maybe they'd want to do something. My nephew just wrote a book, and it happens to be travel related. And I do want to do a post in boot camp because it's a book about travel. It's the greatest literary destination. So you would travel to these destinations because they have roots somehow to either they were written about, or a famous author, a prolific writer is from there. And I'm about to buy his book. I want him to sign it. He's my nephew. Very proud of him. He has another book about to be published. He's brilliant. And if you read his book, you might say, hey, I love this. Let's put together, you know, because especially retirees, there's a lot of people, friends, who do an enormous amount of reading, and they have book clubs. They would love to meet the author or love to travel to those places. You know, Jackie, this reminded me of the Downton Abbey. It's not necessarily a book, but it's a movie. You know, the series. Well, I do want to be able to talk about that. Jennifer says, for late year groups, consider solos, maybe as an alternative to being alone during the holiday season. Look for where they hang out to find them. That's a great idea. You know, you can have solo travelers. Friends, you know that's a big business. Solo travelers, I don't know. Do they prefer traveling with other solo travelers to meet, or, you know, meet in terms of for potential new partners, or just to travel solo so they don't feel like a third wheel with couples? I don't know. A great place to explore. It probably depends on the age or what they want to do. Carolyn, hey Carolyn, says, I have a Halloween cruise in the Caribbean, October 2019, and a cruise in March 2020. Putting it out there now. Florida snowbird trips. There you go. So, Carolyn, you have Halloween. So you built it around Halloween, and a trip in March for the Florida Snowbirds. So Carolyn, for those two groups, do you have group leaders for each, or are these your groups, and you're also going to be the group leader, and you're going to go to a list of people who might be interested in traveling? I'm just curious, if you don't mind typing that. Good luck. It's exciting. So, it sounds like Carolyn is putting these groups when she wants to do the business. I'm just curious if there's a group leader in place, if you have a collaborative deal, an arrangement, a partnership with an organization, a club, where you're going to source the people. And Carolyn said, they're my groups. I'm the leader. And a solo trip for Thanksgiving. So here you go, friends. Sometimes you don't need to find another group leader. You can do it. And it's only going to work, Carolyn, and everybody, you guys know this, is if you have enough followers. If you partner with organizations, associations, other lists, where you can say, hey, I'm Carolyn, I'm going on this Halloween cruise. I'm going to get to on this Florida Snowbird trip. Come join me, and why? What are we going to do? What's the fun stuff? Why would you come with me? But of course, you need to start off with a big enough list, because not everybody is going to go. The only time everybody goes is potentially if it's a destination wedding or if it's a family reunion, and still not everybody can go, but that's where you're going to have the highest percentage of people going who are on that list. Jackie says, if you do the group launch sequence again, do you still wait to reveal pricing until after the second sequence of information presentations? I'm kind of confused since price was there to reveal the first round. So, Jackie, I say you don't talk price. Now, granted, some of those people on that call can go and they see the price. And there's nothing you can do about that, right? But what if there are people who are in that information presentation series who didn't know about it before, and they don't know the price? I say you of course, if it's your second time around, you still want to say we'll reveal the price. We'll focus on the price. Maybe instead of using the word reveal, Jackie, you'll say we'll focus on the incredible price on the third presentation next Thursday, the 17th. We'll focus. We'll feature the pricing. We'll go through the pricing. We'll talk pricing then, rather than reveal, because you don't want to make it seem as if, you really think that they don't know what the price is. You know they probably know it. But I wouldn't talk about the pricing, because the whole idea of the group launch sequence is you're asking them to buy after you've done all the proper selling and marketing. Because, friends, if they make it through all of the information presentations, if they make it through all of them, then the chances they're going to buy are very, very, very high. Because somewhere along the way, there was something that turned them off, and those people naturally filter out. Maybe they can't go that time of year. Maybe they looked ahead and they saw what the river cruising price is going to be. They're like, sweetheart, there's no way we can afford $10,000, and they fall off. But if they stick with you, and even if they know the price, you don't want to open up the window to take their money. That's the other part of this. The bigger part of this is you cannot pay me now. We've closed down. We had a sale weekend back in February. Okay, and we're going to have a second. We're going to open up for sale again. We're going to open up for sale again next Saturday. So come to these information presentation series so you understand all the things we've packaged in, all the things so that we're adding value, we're adding convenience, we're reducing stress, we're reducing risk. All the ways we're going to transform this experience from good to great. Come to these presentations, but don't come with your credit card, because I'll let you know when we're going to start taking bookings again, because we first had to process all the bookings we have already taken in, and we had to, check on inventory and get them all settled in, and they are. So this is our second, or round two. Still don't talk prices, but we're gonna open up the sales window again. The sale starts on, and you know what? We're used to that. Look what goes on at the holiday time, whether it's Black Friday or Cyber Monday. People are used to Macy's blockbuster sales, even though they happen almost every day. We're used to that. I think we're okay with that. And you can still do the VIP, Jackie. You can still have a VIP sale. Well, for you folks who are a part of the organization, you're welcome to start to purchase your cabin or your room on Friday, and then we're open up for everybody, the rest of the group on Saturday, kind of a thing. Absolutely positive. Jackie, tell me if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Carolyn says, my group's, oh, right, she used the leader. Okay. Carolyn says, I've done my Thanksgiving cruise 2 years in a row. So that's another thing, friends. While it would be awesome to have your very first group be a big, overwhelming success, I want that for you. You want that for you. And Danny, this is a message for you too. Your first photography instructor cruise. It may start off on the smaller side, but if it becomes an annual event, if the first one's a success, and you do the smart thing by getting people signed up during that cruise, right? Carolyn, I'm sure you do this. While that cruise is in progress, while people are having a blast, they're having a great time, you walk around with a clipboard saying, hey, listen, and if you don't have the date, not the date, or the ship or the itinerary or the price points for the next one, Danny, I know you don't yet, but you just say, listen, if you put $25 now down, then you will get the insider. You'll get first right. When we open up for sale, you'll be part of the VIP group, so you'll get to book first and maybe a bonus. Don't overpromise. And friends, if you want your $25 back at any time, call me. I'll give you $25 back. But this sort of locks in you as a VIP when we do it again. Carolyn, I bet you do this, and maybe every year it'll go from 8 to 12 to 20. It should grow exponentially, because for every new couple you bring, maybe they bring another 2 couples, right? So that's how things grow exponentially. I love it. Carolyn, thank you, and good luck with your continuing cruises. Jackie says, that makes sense. Thank you. You are welcome. Nancy, hey, Stuart, thank you. Thanks to you, I know how to respond to this advice. I got a friend, client, that would like to go on my Quebec City Winter Carnival tour, but thought the rate was too high. Nancy explained, quote, the rates at the chateau are higher this year, and the package rate includes the tour of the ice hotel with drinks and the parade, previously an added expense. So basically, Nancy had the time to address that issue that how come prices are higher? Well, now they're more inclusive. And she replied, quote, I will certainly try, although I'm thinking a reverse approach might work better. Offer the lower rates and people will sign up. I think people really want to go, but they're really put off by the high price. Just my 2 cents. So interesting. That's what Nancy's client said. Kind of like the McDonald's approach. You'll make money through volume if priced right. So since by now I have the 20 needed to guarantee the bus, I offered her and anyone in my outdoor club that had been a member of the board a $50 discount, and 6 more people registered. So it's interesting. First of all, I congratulate you on your success. And, of course, you have to be very careful, friends, that if you drop the price, if you offer a discount after other people have been booked and paid, I don't know if that's exactly what happened, Nancy, because be very, very, very careful, because then everyone else is going to wait next time for the discount. Certainly they're going to come back down and say, hey, I want my 50, you gave it to them. That's not fair. We booked early. You always want to keep your early bookers. If they get something special, they get something special that's unique. So it encourages people to book early and early and early every single time you do it. But isn't that the tough question? Do you lead with a bare bones, stripped down, off the shelf price? Listen, friends, do you lead with that? And so at least the price point looks like a good, more reasonable barrier for entry. And then say, okay, but it doesn't include the ice castle. It doesn't include the parade. It does not include drinks. It does not include extra meals. It's all extra. Do you play that game, or, as Nancy described, do you go in with a more inclusive package that comes out at a higher price point? Now, this is a personal decision you need to make. I'm going to give you my 2 cents here. I think the risk of offering the bare bones stripped down off the shelf price, the risk of offering that, of it backfiring is higher. In other words, if you do that, they're going to shop you till they drop you. And who knows, even a month later, come back and beat you up on price. So there's a high risk there of that happening. And B, I think as people get into it and they say, oh, wait a minute, that's another 50, that's another 200, that's another 75. But now you're nickel and diming me. You know, some people don't read the small type, right, Nancy? They don't read the fine print, even if you make it big. Oh, I thought that lunch was, I thought tickets, you mean this is all extra? Wow. So to me, that's not what a real travel professional does. Because then why does a consumer need you? Why does a consumer need you to sell the same thing anybody else? Now, I know this is a package you put together, Nancy. I get that. It's your FIT tour, I believe. So maybe they can't get it exactly, but generally speaking, I think it's a better sales story. It's a better marketing story. It's more fun. It's more exciting. You have a story to tell. When you have to lead off, this isn't, an ultra-inclusive package or more inclusive or maybe all-inclusive. You have to be careful, though, because does it include taxes? Does it include gratuities? What you have to convince people to do, obviously, is saying, look, the reason why this price point is higher is because when you get there, you're going to be buying all this stuff anyway. If you don't, why are you going during this time period? So I'm saving you time. I'm saving you money. Yes, you'll pay more up front, but if you went, you guys know this. If you went and you paid the rock bottom price, the cheap price, you're going to come back having spent more. Trust me. If you don't trust me, don't go on my trip. I really think, friends, we have to be very confident when we talk to clients saying, absolutely, that's a higher price point. Well, why? Why would I do it? Well, because if I gave you the bare bone price, you'd end up spending more. You'd end up waiting online. You'd end up it being sold out when you get there. I don't do that to my clients. I don't nickel and dime my clients. I make it more convenient. I add value. So in the long run, you're going to have a much better time. You'll probably be paying less in the long run, but you'll certainly have a lot less stress. So, I get that, but that's my personal feeling. Carolyn said deposit before so Carolyn does do that while she's on her Thanksgiving cruise. She collects a deposit before the end of that cruise. Nancy says, thought you'd get a kick out of the McDonald's reference, opposite of boot camp. Well, absolutely. It's volume. And I don't believe travel can be a volume-based business. Groups cannot be a volume-based business. Because friends, maybe McDonald's, they can make in one batch, they can make enough fries that are going to feed 20 people. Okay, so it's more convenient. Fine. What does it cost for that one person to make fries enough for 20 people? We can get away charging less because we have a huge capacity fryer. But when it comes to travel, you don't want to spend less time with your guests. You want to give them the time they deserve, the service they deserve. So you can't go. I don't think you can be efficient, but if you really say this is going to be a no frills, I'm going to be a no frills agent, then what do they need you for? They could book it online. Click, click, click. They don't need you. You don't want to be a no frills agent. You want to give great service. Danny says, great ideas. Thank you. You are welcome, sir. Nancy says, only discounted if they had been a member of the board, and this encourages participation in the club and my tours. So Nancy only gave that $50 off if they had been a member of the board. and it encouraged participation in the club and the tours too. So she did it obviously very thoughtfully, so it wouldn't backfire. So they felt like a VIP, if you will. Carolyn said, I have a question. How many people do interstate travel, trips by bus with hotel tours? Is there a financial benefit to it? I'm just doing cruises. Well, we certainly know Nancy does it, big business. Anybody else on today or watching this or listening to this a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, a year from now, do you do interstate travel? Do you do domestic tours? Do you do motor coach trips, hotels? Do you do visits to spas and so forth, cultural trips? You know, that's a whole other business most agents don't look at doing, and it can be very profitable. And as Nancy knows, you start them off there, and then you get all of their business. They graduate up. You trade up, friends. You go from a long domestic weekend to could be a cruise, could be a all-inclusive. You never know. But you're building your list. You're fulfilling a need. You're making money. And what a great time, too, to be scientific in your approach. So maybe you can work on more third or fourth quarter business, doing motor coach trips, doing spa getaways, local retreat getaways. You know, hang on for a second there, Karen. Maybe we don't look so big. It has to be a cruise. It has to be an all-inclusive. It has to be a river cruise. What if you just focused local and did, Christmas shopping? I don't know. You know, how cool would that be? Go to a dude ranch. You know, there's so many domestic opportunities too, and that could be your revenue stream for those softer time periods. Okay. Now, oh my goodness, we did not have a. Yes, Carolyn, I will hook you up with Nancy. I know Nancy is when she's not traveling. I know she's very eager to connect, so I'll connect you guys. So there was another question here that Karen had about that hot sheet, the handout. What do you put on it? And I know a few sessions ago, I put this offer out there. I think it was when I was with Mike, and I offered this to my boot campers, and I hesitate to do it again because it takes a lot of time. And I did this for some of you. I did it for Craig. Who else did I do it for? I don't remember offhand. Sorry. If you have a one sheet or a hot sheet, whatever you want to call it, or a one page, I would review it. I'd give it a quick overview. So let me just tell you that one page hot sheet, it cannot have 10-point font. Less is more, and it has to be benefits, not features. Don't tell me what you do. Tell me how you do it, how it's going to transform the experience. Answer those three key topics that I always talk about: reduce stress and risk, add value, convenience, transform the entire experience. Throw a testimonial in. Make sure your contact information is there, big, bold, bright, beautiful. You can put your certifications. But the first thing to lead off with is not, I've been in business 30 years. Okay, what does that do for me? What does my 30 years of travel experience will enable me to make sure you never miss a thing, a site, a restaurant, an experience? That's how my 30 years of experience works for you. My clients never miss a thing. They don't get there and things are sold out. They don't get there and overpay. They have less stress, less risk, because I've got their back. And I'll get yours too. So, she says here, should it be your services, what's in it for me? Yeah, all that kind of stuff. And you could put, the more niche you are, friends, and we can talk about this next time too, because this is something I implore, is that the right word? You to all have, is that one page hot sheet. Your business card is not the place to make it, it's not a billboard. I've seen business cards that have so much stuff on it. It's not, I can't even read it. It's ridiculous. As far as I'm concerned, a business card should be for contact information only. Who am I? Where to get in touch with me? That's it. Because once I put your phone into my system, my address, your email address, I don't need the card anymore. Who uses Rolodexes? It's in my computer. It's on my phone. This isn't the billboard. The billboard is your one-page hot sheet. And it's going to take you time it's a work in progress. It's a living document. You're going to change it often. And based on who you meet, you may change it too. It's like a resume, but a much more exciting resume. Because if it's just a plain resume, it's going to be dull and boring. The last thing I'm going to say is your one-page hot sheet, friends. It needs to convince me that I wouldn't think of going anyplace else. I need you in my life. I need you to take care of my trip. And if I find out that you're a river cruise expert and I do not ever want to do a river cruise, that's fine. You're not my guy. You're not my gal. I'll find somebody who specializes in something else. But the more you niche, the better. Because if I see that, and by the way, I won't be impressed if you're a specialist in 50 different things. I'm not impressed because that's not what a specialist is. If you look on my website as a speaker, it took me years and years and years to come down to 4 key areas. Because people say, what do you talk about? That's their first question. Everyone says, and this is my final point, then we're going to end. Stuart, what do you talk about? Leadership, salesmanship, entrepreneurship, and maximizing personal performance. Those 4 areas. Right there. People love it. And it flows. It works. You need to be able to do the same thing on your hot sheet. I know who you are and what you do. And make sure that when I click to your website, it tells the same story. That's it, my friends. Let me see if there's any last-minute comments or questions. Carol says, thank you. You are welcome. Carol says, I love my Rolodex. Good for you. And you know what? I have an old-school calendar. I do not use a computer calendar. I am old school. Hey, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today's session. I'm grateful you're here. Watch for the next January date. Nancy said, when we come to Memphis? Jenny says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas right back to you and everybody. Happy holidays, Kyle. Thank you. I don't know. We're looking maybe late summer for Memphis. I don't know. There's a lot of planning if I could pull this off for 19 because timing is already tight. It's close in. But we got something special here. Hey, thanks, everybody. I'm grateful for you. Keep in touch. Keep active in Facebook, in our Facebook group. And tell me about your failures. Tell me about your successes. And let's all grow together. Have a safe, joyous, peaceful, fun, delicious holiday season.